And welcome back. I am Bahamut, your caster. Let me just one little thing right here. All right, I am Bahamut, your caster. Welcome to the game. Now, the one thing I did not check is which side people were on. I feel like I saw NoobSlayin on the left and Sky5 on the right. That's what it should be, but we'll see. For now, we'll just say left and right. We're going into Battlefield of Eternity here in our first game of potentially 3. Red side gonna have the first ban here. So Battlefield of Eternity, it's a very strong map for heroes like Greymane, Vala. They definitely excel here because of the fact that they do have this immortal burn. But we are starting to see a little bit of a shift in that, as well as we're tacking on like a Tassadar and Lunara. Those are starting to pair well together, as well as with these team fights that are going to be happening. The Tassadar Force Wall is really good at splitting and peeling the teams away from each other. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be curious to see if it's going to be banned out or at least picked up by either of these teams. It looks like Genji's going to be banned out here. A strong hero for quick mobility. The Reflect is quite useful. You can actually get some of those kills where you dash in and the tower's attacking you, just reflect to get to the enemy member, and it's just friendly shots to get from your own tower killing you. But at the same time, he also has that, ability to confirm some of those heroes that are, getting away. You can dash up, get the reset. And then the left side, they're going to go ahead and ban out Uther. I like that because Uther works well with almost any comp. He synergizes so well with so many heroes, and so just knocking him out is a really strong asset to have. And with Greymane being a one of the heroes that we see on this map, the D shield on the Greymane is something that you'd want to be afraid of. So overall, just banning out the the Uther is gonna kind of help out their team. But at the same time, on the red side, they're gonna go ahead and pick up this Ariel. And so there's a lot of things that can be comboed in with that. As we were talking about, the Vala pairs well with it as well. Even then, we could potentially even see a Cho'Gall out on this map because this is one of those maps that he does excel at. We're going to have an Alarak coming out here, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see this paired well with like either a Rhaegar or maybe a Stitches, but they're actually going to go ahead and pick up the Vala too, so getting their melee assassin and their ranged assassin right off the bat, and that also does take that away from the red side. They can't really pair up that Valas, but the only thing is, they've locked in some pretty good damage. I'm curious to see where the rest of their draft is going to go at this point. Now on the red side, this Ariel, it can be combined obviously with a Vala typically, but since blue side already has that, won't be able to get that themselves. Other heroes that do pair well, obviously, the Cho'Gall is an option. The next ban phase is coming out, so they can ban out that Greymane as well to mitigate that Cursed Bullet. But I don't think they're going to go down that route. I really think that they're going to be going into Gul'dan. I think would be a really good combination, and then maybe just locking in, well, the Greymane as well. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and get the Greymane. I'm curious what they're going to pair this with. It's going to be a Lunara, so a lot of damage coming out for both teams. Right off the bat, they're really focusing on the objective here, which is the immortal fight and the immortal burn, and that's definitely something that they're going to really need to worry about in these engagements. The Alarak I'm a little more afraid of because of the fact that he has that silence and also the telekinesis, and then Vala having the Rain of Vengeance is extremely good for the CC. So this looks like it's going to be a hard comp to go up against. Now they don't have a healer yet, and they could get choked out of I would assume a Rhaegar would be paired with this team since the Uther's already banned out. But with the current setup as it is, blue team probably going to be looking to ban out. I'm going to assume it has to be a tank. It's going to be Stitches. I was going to say it's going to either be Arthas or Stitches, and it's just really what threat you want to go up against. The hook from the Stitches can be really devastating, but they don't have a ton of follow-up CC. They have the Greymane dive and the poison damage from Lunara, but there's really nothing holding them there to make them stand still. And actually, Tassadar is going to be banned out on the right-hand side. And I like that, because the Tassadar does pair well with the Vala. They are needing to pick up another healer. If they did go into the Tassadar, they would have to pick up a secondary, so like a Rhaegar would be probably going with that as well. Oh, but at this point, what the blue side definitely needs is they need a healer and they need a tank, and personally, I think Arthas and Rhaegar would work out really well here. The second health bar you can get into the Alarak or the Vala is going to be extremely beneficial in these fights. But they're actually going to go with the Diablo and Malfurion, so they're going to get the roots. And I actually like that combination, because you have the charge from Diablo, then you have the overpower. Malfurion can place the roots behind him, and obviously, you know, you overpower into a root, so it's a stun into a stun, or a stun into a root. And then you have the Vala following up the telekinesis from the Alarak as well, the silence. So that's a really, really good composition coming out of the left-hand side. And my apologies once again. I did not check the names. I don't want to assume. I feel like I saw NoobSlayin on the right, but we'll check when we go into the lobby here. And on the red side, the Arthas is still available. I'd actually like to see like an Arthas and a Sonya, maybe? Dahaka's a possibility, but I don't know if he's really necessary on a team lane map like this. It's going to be Joanna for the blind, and there's the Dahaka, actually. Okay. I like the Joanna better. The blind against the Vala and the Alarak is going to be extremely powerful. And that's just also going to lend them to these team fights, and when she does poke them, the main damage going on to the Immortals at that point will be kind of delayed for a few seconds, so that is a tool that they have in their pockets for when these engagements do happen. This last pick, though, on the left-hand side, got 2 good damage. I would assume that they're going to go for a little bit more of a front line here. I still like the Sonya, but there are a lot of other things that we see on this map. I know that there are some people who do go for the Artanis, and that wouldn't honestly be a horrible idea. The blind that you could put onto the Greymane Lunara would be extremely beneficial, since a lot of them are auto-attacking. I think the Artanis would be a good pickup here. I think they just need a little bit more, you know, some health pools that they can kind of rely on. It's actually going to be the Gul'dan. This is going to be interesting. There's a lot of damage on the left-hand side. This is quite terrifying, to be honest. But then again, they are going up against the Greymane Lunara with the Ariel, so there is the Aegis for those last-second saves. I'm really curious to see where these teams are going to be taking this. All right, and here we go into our first match of the evening on Battlefield of Eternity. We have NoobSlayin versus Sky5. And on the left, we do have NoobSlayin with Barcode on Gul'dan, NoobSlayer76 on Malfurion, Sirius on Vala, NoobSlayer 67 on Diablo, and Flex Squad on Alarak. And on the right-hand side, we have Sky5 with Gabe on Joanna, Feral on Ariel, Apple Mike on Greymane, Strange Goat on Lunara, and Quan Finnegan on Dahaka.
Prepare yourselves for battle, heroes.
All right, so we'll just take a quick peek at some of these first talents that are going to be gotten here. Looks like we are going into the Hungering Arrow build for Vala. Looks like Alarak is actually going to be going for the Sustaining Power on his E. Malfurion going for the Shadow's Clarity. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Corruption coming out from Gul'dan.
3, 2, 1. Let the battle
We're actually going to have the Enduring Swarm from the Dahaka. That's interesting. And we actually have the Fell Flame talent at level 1 for Gul'dan. So with this first engagement, we aren't really seeing... It's just a lot of posturing at this point, trying to see who's in what lane, if they're, you know, more people in top, more people in bottom, is there a gank? But it looks like we're going to have the Alarak going up against the Dahaka in top. And in bottom lane, we're going to have this 4-man just really starting to push into each other. Now, the Gul'dan, the Fell Flame, I really like because actually it's going to be providing a lot of really quick damage throughout the as the game progresses. As you can see, he's getting them out every few seconds, and we'll check that questing talent in a few minutes here. I don't play all the Gul'dan in the world. I have a pretty good understanding of, like, there's like 2 major builds you go. It's either the Fel Flame or you go into the Corruption stacks. But it looks like that is going to be the way he's going on this map. And already working his way through. He's got 9, and I believe that is out of 50. It's out of 40, actually. I'm getting used to the new UI, so I'm just trying to figure these things out. We're actually going to have the Diablo going in a little bit deep into those towers, trying to get one of the members. Unfortunately, he didn't have the overpower for the kill. But at this point, it looks like NoobSlayin is going to kind of hold this lane. Now in top, just really quickly, it looks like up against this Dahaka, the Alarak seems to be putting up quite a fight and making it a little bit difficult for that Dahaka. And actually we are having a few of the members falling low, but okay. I was wondering if he was going to telekinesis him back, but he will not be. Now this Immortal is in the perfect position for Sky5. They can just rotate right onto this, but at the same time, NoobSlayin looks like they'll be able to kind of zone a few of these members away while a little bit of damage is put out by the Vala and the Alarak. There is a dive onto the Alarak, and he will be falling here. Now there's some roots, but a couple of these members are stuck on Greymane falling extremely low here. He will be falling as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade. A few of these members are falling low. Ariel isn't getting... Okay, she's getting charged up a little bit here. Now Dahaka is in this bush. Does get the tongue onto the Diablo. He is standing still. He will get a stomp out, and that will be him falling. But Ariel will actually be falling here to, I believe, the Immortal Stun. And with that, the Gul'dan, the Dahaka getting out, and Lunara actually not. Dahaka getting out with just a sliver of health, kinda. And so that will be force picked up on the side of NoobSlayin, and they will be starting to just chunk down this Immortal. Just want to note really quickly that Gul'dan's actually at 32 out of 40 of his stacks, so he is quite close within the first couple minutes of this matchup here. Ariel is a little far forward. She might get picked off. The Alarak is there. Does have the telekinesis. The Diablo does charge in, but unfortunately it doesn't work out. The roots actually... Diablo saving Ariel from the roots. Now there is the Immortal on the aggressive side here, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see in exactly that. We have the Vala just kind of working this down while Lunara is taking a little bit of... putting a little bit of damage out. Gul'dan will be falling here during this skirmish, but it looks like we're actually going to be having this Immortal going over to NoobSlayin. We get a tongue onto the Alarak, and that's going to be him falling here, but the Diablo is in a bad position. This Greymane is going really deep onto him. They are actually going to go for the Malfurion here, but he's going to kite them more towards these towers. Joanna uses her Unstoppable. Vala trying to save the Ariel and end up getting killed herself. Now Gul'dan coming in here. The Diablo is trying to push the Greymane back into these towers, but they won't be able to get the kill. Joanna is taking quite a bit of damage, and I would not be too surprised to see her falling. And looks like we're actually going to be having the quest complete for Gul'dan already. Now this Immortal is pushing in bottom. There is no one pushing with it, so they're not going to get a crazy high value out of this. Actually, the stun from the Immortal onto this Ariel. The whip back, though, does save her from getting chased down. But now that the team is starting to show up for this Immortal push, they are going to have to play a little bit safer. The Joanna is starting to come back at this point, so they will be able to be a little bit more aggressive, but the stun does go out, and it looks like they'll be able to get the kill onto Greymane here, and that's not a good position for Sky5 to be in because of the fact that one of their main, melee damage dealers is out. They don't have anyone to dive with that Joanna, so the Joanna can take a little bit of damage, but unfortunately it's going to be, too much. They don't have anyone diving into that backline, getting a lot of just starting to kind of peel the team away from each other. So we are going to have this push up into this bottom lane for quite a bit here. Now Alarak is going up against that Dahaka once again, but they're really they're far forward here on the side of NoobSlayin, and talents are even, levels are even. The Dahaka could potentially come in for a flank and really go on that Malfurion, but it looks like he's just going to be preoccupied in top with that Alarak currently, and they're just going to push up with this minion wave into these towers and try and get as much value out of this as possible. Joanna, oops, excuse me. Joanna is going to be popping out here. Will have to be going straight back in, unfortunately, because of the fact that she doesn't have enough damage. Now, I'm wondering if the Dahaka has the dig to come out from that bush there. That would have been That would have been quite the good flank. He's actually going to come out of the bush over there. There is a tongue onto the Vala. Diablo is charging onto this Greymane. Looks like there will be the disengage, though, but the Diablo is getting chased down here by the Dahaka, who does actually get rooted and ends up falling. Now, Gul'dan is falling so low with 76 health, just barely going to make it out. He will fall, and we're actually going to have the Greymane falling here. And this Vala looks like she's hungering for some blood, but unfortunately she will be killed by the Joanna. Now Diablo is pushing this Joanna closer to the gate. Unfortunately, the Unstoppable is there. They get the disengage whip into the wall with the stun, and that is just going to be the next Immortal phase popping up here. And we do have this top and bottom positioning. For Sky5, they are already reporting in, making sure that they're going to go for this bush gank if it's possible. Looks like NoobSlayin is actually going to go onto that camp and get that pushing as the Immortal phase is happening. Typically, you want to focus that down a little bit earlier, but with the delay that they have with some of these members coming back, they're going to go ahead and just time this out as they regroup together. Now, the Joanna is getting onto this Gul'dan, who is potentially... Okay, so he gets out. The Dahaka, I believe, didn't get the full tongue onto him, but he does get charged into the wall. It does get flipped over, and that is going to be the Dahaka falling here. Now, we do have the Joanna still, so we can have... she will be able to tank some of this damage, but with this, it is now a 3v5. Diablo actually getting really close to that Ariel, but she does have the whip for the disengage. And this is going to be the Vala Gul'dan just really burning down this Immortal. Talents typically do show at top, but I have a new UI, Hedgie. So that's why they pop up on the right-hand side, and I have to bring them up on the bottom. So we are going to be having this Immortal going over to NoobSlayin. We do have the Dahaka coming in here, but that will not be able to slow them down from getting this Immortal. And also, with 10s on the side of NoobSlayin, this is going to be a very powerful, not Punisher, Immortal, that will be pushing into their top lane. Bottom has been pushed in, and actually it looks like Dahaka is rotating down there to relieve the Ariel, who's going to have to rotate up. They will be losing this gate, I believe, before the Ariel even gets up here, since there are no cannon shots left. We do have the telekinesis out from the Alarak, and we do have 10s actually on the side of Sky5, so they can go into this engagement, but their Joanna is quite low. They get a lot of poison out from the Gul'dan. There is a huge Apocalypse from the Diablo. Strafe comes out from the Vala, trying to get that leap Lunar. She will be falling here, as well as the Gul'dan, but we get the whip back. Unfortunately, though, Joanna will be falling on top of that, so this Mortal should be going into the keep quite easily at this point, with their next member coming back in about 6 seconds. Alright, with the Joanna back at this point, and the Dahaka actually coming in for an aggressive flank here, they end up actually getting the root onto him. Vala turns around and starts to deal so much damage. This Dahaka has to use his adaptation. Looks like he'll be able to utilize it in time, and they're actually going to start to turn this around on NoobSlayin. They do get the dive onto the Diablo. He does have soul, so he'll be up in 3 seconds at this point. The Immortal, though, is still chunking down this keep, and that is actually going to be the first keep going over, falling for Sky5. And as I was saying, Diablo is already back, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see them start to go around the map, pick up some of these camps, and really start to get even more map control at this point. Sky5, though, they're going to play it safe. They're going to go ahead and take their hard camp. It's a little early, but you know what? Instead of it going over to NoobSlayin, they want to make sure that they get that lane pressure, and they're going to go ahead and rotate up into that top one as well, seeing as how they haven't seen the enemy team yet, and this is also the lane where they have catapults pushing up against them. So this is going to be a lane that they want to de-push constantly because of that factor. Now we do have the members of NoobSlayin coming in. It looks like they're going to go in for a flank with this Diablo. Alarak is coming into the back lane as well. He is hiding in this bush. He does start to charge his strike. He goes right through a few of them, gets the silence onto one. The telekinesis does come out. Diablo does get the flip onto the Greymane. The Apocalypse does come out, and it won't connect onto any of the members, I don't think, but the Horrify is there from the Gul'dan. There is the strafe from the Vala, and they will be able to get this Joanna on top of getting the Greymane. Now they are coming into this Dahaka, who does pop his adaptation and his essence, but He does have the burrow, so he's going to go back to full health. Unfortunately, they're just going to be burning him down once again because of that root was just right on top of where he was just going to pop right out of the ground. He didn't have 13 yet, so he couldn't take Tunning Claws, I believe. And at this point, it looks like NoobSlayin is going to want to try and end this game. They're starting to aggress onto the core. We do have the Dahaka dead still. Diablo is charging in. He does get whipped in against the wall. There is the damage from the Lunara, which is going to kill him. But unfortunately, the Malfurion will be killing the Ariel. They are in a full disengage here. Vala trying to just put out as much damage as she can. But Alarak is going to dive in from the back line with that charge and get the kill onto Greymane. And with that, they are going to just completely disengage. I wouldn't be... No, they're actually going to chase down this Dahaka, who I think was trying to come in for a flank. There is a root from the Malfurion, so they get that. He does burrow. He doesn't have adaptation just yet. They miss it, and Gul'dan... Or actually, Malfurion will be getting the kill. It looks like Vala has been pushing up this lane quite a bit, making sure that she gets rid of the well, and also just making sure that these catapults are going to start pressuring up. Joanna is coming back. We do have the Greymane here as well. He does get dismounted. Do they go for a 1v1? It looks like that is going to be happening. That's going to be the Greymane falling. Vala is going to back off, and then is going to be a staggered death at this point. So they're going to go ahead and get a free Immortal. And this will be pushing on to the bottom keep. And the reason I say it's free is mostly because of the fact that they're so close to 16s that if they did... Okay. Okay, they're going to back off. I was about to say, they're so close to 16s that they don't want to feed, because if they feed one kill, basically, they will reach that 16, and this next push will be way harder. So they're going to try and just get a little bit of poke damage out. Fortunately, though, Diablo will charge in onto this Dahaka, who does pop his adaptation right away. He does get flipped over. The Apocalypse does come out, but he has the Burrow, which actually procs his full thing of adaptation. Diablo will be falling here. He doesn't have soul, so he will be back in actually 36 seconds. And I spoke a little too soon. It looks like this is going to be given back to... Nope, the Gul'dan's actually down there, so he's going to be able to burn it down at the last second. This Malfurion is just kiting so beautifully. He actually meets up with his Gul'dan, gives him a little bit of mana. And this chase is still happening. Gul'dan does have the damage to potentially kill the Dahaka, I think. But they're going to go ahead and just disengage from each other. Now, in top lane, we do have this Vala chasing down the Joanna, and that will be her falling. Greymane does back at this point, and they need to defend this keep and their core. This is a 16 March, and this could potentially be game-ending. This is a full shield Immortal at about 13 minutes. We do have a couple of the members actually getting stunned out here. The Dahaka actually being pushed towards the enemy team. He does have to walk through all that corruption from the Gul'dan. We do have Diablo at this point coming back into the fight. And we also have the Alarak coming in here as well. I'm curious to see if he's going to try and charge in again. He will be charging up his charge. And he's going to go ahead and just wait. Alright, but we do have a small skirmish happening here over by the core. The Horrify is there and actually split some of the members off. They do save themselves. This Vala is so low, and so is this Malfurion, but they end up getting healed. Barcode actually getting tongued by the Dahaka and will be falling. This core, though, is slowly getting chunked down by the Immortal, and this... Okay, looks like they're going to have to disengage from it, but there is the pullback, and they do get the stun. Now, Greymane is quite high on health. He does get flipped over, and he will be falling. Dahaka is extremely low here. He does get one attack taken, and he will be falling. That is going to be the core going down, and the first game going over to NoobSlayin. GG, well played. Alright, and I guess we're coming back to the game. I am Bahamut, your caster. We are going into our second match here. Hopefully my UI updates. I think I had everything right. If not, try and keep an eye on that. They did swap sides on me though. So on the right hand side we actually have NoobSlayin, and on the left we have Sky5. They did swap positions in the lobby on me. But I did make sure that I caught that. With that though, we are going into Tomb of the Spider Queen here now. A map with a solo lane in bottom typically, and then a 4-man rotation between top and mid. That's the standard that we see on this map. We see a lot of good heroes like Gul'dan, Kael'thas for the wave clear. There is a priority on heroes like Greymane and Alarak for that solo lane in bottom, as well as Dahaka. He can actually be a threat on this map. because the fact of just there's so many bushes that he can come out of and just gank people and flank as well. So, the Uther's going to be banned out here, and just a strong overall hero to ban out. But it looks like Sky5 is hovering over Zool. That's interesting, because Zool, I mean, yeah, Zool does have really good wave clear, and he can be one of those members of the 4-man, or even be the solo laner in bottom. So that is actually quite a good ban, in my opinion, coming out from Sky5. But we're going to be NoobSlayin will have the first pick here, and I'm curious what they're going to be going into. We often see things like Genji in this first slot, even Ariel last game. It's going to be the Ariel, okay. And I believe, if I did read those names right, NoobSlayin is on the right, so they did lock in the Ariel first. Last game, Sky5 locked in Ariel first, if I am remembering correctly. Yeah, they did. Interesting first pick, though. I wonder what they're going to be going into on this map. As I said before, Cho'Gall is a threat, so it is one of those things that if you do pick up that first pick Ariel, that is, you know, kind of setting yourself up potentially for it. Last night when I was casting, I saw that exactly. Someone picked up, you know, first pick Ariel, then they went to a Gul'dan. The scoreboard is not updating, apparently, from chat. Thank you. I'll go ahead and get that. Now they do actually grab the Vala here. I like that, because that went ahead and got rid of the potential to have that Vala Ariel combination. Let me just see if I can just reset this. It should go away, then come back with the correct score. There it is. Okay, cool. Thank you, Hedgie, for letting me know that it was broken. We do actually have the Cho'Gall coming out here. So we came back right in time just to catch the Cho'Gall. And this is what I was saying, that Cho'Gall does work on this map. Now, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a ban on something like an Anubarak, as well as some sort of hyper carry damage. The Vala isn't there, and that's usually what we see with it. But then again, on this map, we can still see... I'm trying to think just like what you would really want to go into with this. Alarak would be alright, Greymane would be alright, but I wouldn't be... I'm going to assume that the right-hand team, which I believe is NoobSlayin, will probably be banning out Greymane due to the fact that they don't want to deal with Cursed Bullet. And if they don't, they would then probably need to be picking up a Rhaegar, and then that would just have them with one, you know, hyper damage, which would be probably something like that Alarak that they had that last game. The Joanna's going to be banned out here, and I think that the Joanna that... No. I'm wondering why Joanna's banned out here. Oh, maybe just for the blinds against the Vala and potentially whatever auto attack they're going to be picking up next. It's 50-50, honestly, because they could... Okay, I was going to say, this is what I was going to start talking about, is they can also ban out Malthael. There was a slight nerf to Greymane's Cursed Bullet, but at the same time, that still doesn't mean that he's like out of the picture. He still does a crap load of damage to Cho'Gall with that Cursed Bullet post 10. And they're actually going to pick it up themselves. So I think that's where the Joanna ban came in. They banned out the Malthael, and they ended up getting the Greymane. And I think that's really good. I don't know if it's like draft skill or if it's like... Because it seems like they forced them into that 50-50. It's like, all right, we're going to ban out Joanna. Like, do you want to ban out Malthael or Greymane? Because you're going to have to deal with one of them. And they said that we don't want to deal with the Malthael, so they're going to get that Greymane. Now, paired with that, honestly, if they take the Rhaegar, that would be really beneficial to them. They would negate the fact that they could use the Ancestral to heal up Cho'Gall after the Cursed Bullet. And they're actually going to go ahead and get the Stukov. Stukov does provide some very good zoning. Solo healer, I honestly haven't played enough games with Stukov to know. I feel like he does pretty well to keep me alive. it's 50-50. Like, I've had Stukovs who are just amazing, and I've had Stukovs who just aren't that great. And there's the Rhaegar that we had talked about. Since we're just going to say the left side didn't pick up the Rhaegar, they're going to go ahead and get themselves for the exact same thing. Like, watch to see, whenever Curse Bullet comes out and connects onto Cho'Gall, watch that Ancestral just almost go onto him every time, if it's, I guess, if it's needed, though. That is one of the things that does have to, that has to happen. Now, damage-wise, I kind of like the Alarak, but I'm curious what they're going to be going into now that they have this double healer. It's going to be the Kael'thas. They're going to get a lot of wave clear and CC with him, and some good zoning from the Phoenix as well. That's the one thing I guess I didn't consider that. I didn't consider the fact that they didn't really have any good wave clear. Rhaegar's probably going to be sitting in bottom lane, soloing, and then you'll have the Ariel, Cho'Gall, Kael'thas rotating between top and mid. And now they're going to go ahead and get a little bit more percentile damage and pick up this Leoric. And this is a terrifying composition. The one thing that I want to note is that Stukov is a really smart pickup because of the silence that he gives. And that, if a Ariel needs to do like a clutch heal or a clutch Aegis, or let's say someone needs to hit an Ancestral, there is that potential for the silence. I really like this. This is going to be a really interesting match. Okay, on the left-hand side, we have Sky5 with Apple Mike on Greymane, Gabe on Stitches, Quinn Finnegan on Vala, Strange Goat on Stukov, and Feral on Leoric. And on the right-hand side, we have NoobSlayin with Flex Squad on Gaul, NoobSlayer 76 on Rhaegar, NoobSlayer 67 on Kael'thas, Barcode on Ariel, and Sirius on Cho.
Prepare yourselves. The battle begins shortly.
Alright, so we do have Kael'thas going into the Mana Addict build. We do have Rhaegar taking his Lightning Bond. Cho will be going in for the Feel for the Flame. Doesn't look like there's anything too out of the ordinary. Taskmaster from the Gaul. Slam build from the Stitches. Greymane going into Cocktail build. Stukov, I'm wondering if he's going to go for the Fetid Touch talent at level 1 or for the Lurking Arm talent at level 1. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that in the bottom bar as we are going. Oh, nope. He's going to go for the Lurking Arm talent. And it looks like at this point, we have the two teams just kind of trying to scout each other out. Now, we do have a cheese coming out from Sky5 going straight onto this fort. Leoric taking a significant amount of damage, but looks like we will have the team invade here. Now, there is a huge body block coming out from this Cho'Gall. Really good, actually, keeping that Stukov. But the friendly hook from the Stitches will save him with just about 50 health. He will be able to tap as well, and that is going to be the last second clutch save. Now there's a huge hook from the Stitches onto the Cho'Gall. There is a whip back from the Ariel, and that's going to be Cho'Gall actually being the first two kills of the game, actually. And this is going to be in a very aggressive start of the match for Sky5. Now they are going to be rotating onto this lane. Looks like Rhaegar was soloing it in the meantime while there was that fight. We do have the Leoric going into bottom, and he will be versing that Rhaegar, excuse me. Though in bottom lane we do have the Greymane who did also come down, so that's going to push in this Rhaegar quite a bit into these forts, and this is some very aggressive posturing on the side of Sky5 up against NoobSlayin this match. It feels like this is a completely different team that we're casting now. There is the slow and the silence from the Stukov. Cho'Gall is trying to zone a couple of these members away. The Leoric falling a little bit low, but he does have the passive to basically just, pop back up on the battlefield at any point he wants. So he will be dying here, and that is going to be the first kill for NoobSlayin. Hook does go out, but it unfortunately will not connect. And we do have Leoric popping back up at this point. He's going to be getting right onto that Cho'Gall, making sure that he's taking as much health as possible from him. Now in bottom lane, we do have this matchup between the... We'll start there, sorry. This matchup between the Rhaegar and the Greymane. It looks like Greymane's really starting to push in this Rhaegar quite a bit. We do have these rotations still coming out from these teams, though. It's just trying to fill the bank to 50 at this point, and that's really the goal. I mean, if you can get a couple picks in between, that's great. But at this point, with those early game deaths and them actually starting to really give experience, this is going to be the opportune time where you want to be conservative, just clear the waves. They do get the whip from the Ariel. The silence is there. The Kael'thas looks like he's going to take a significant amount of damage and will be falling here. And that is unfortunately a very good pickup for Sky5. Unfortunately for NoobSlayin, they lose him. That's a lot of their wave clear. They do have the Cho'Gall, which does wave clear pretty decently, but at the same time it just speeds it up with that Kael'thas. We actually have this Greymane a little lane far forward. Cho'Gall is coming in. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a body block coming out. The juke was there, and Ariel will just whip through the gate. Now the rest of the team did follow this chase down. Cho'Gall will have the arm to get out. Do they actually? No, he's going to go straight back in. There is the silence from the Ariel. Looks like, or not the silence from the Ariel, the whip from the Ariel. They get the hook onto the Cho'Gall. Push back from the Ariel. This is just back and forth at this point. They've just traded off the lanes. They're just all in bottom now. They have their Rhaegar, who looks like he's still with them down here. But they still have the Kael'thas in mid, also rotating to top up against this Vala Leoric. So they're still making sure they get as much experience as possible. And hi, Genesis Esports. We missed the Kael'thas death, unfortunately. The Vala rotated in and got that kill. Cho'Gall just... barely that Stitches will get away, unfortunately. And at this point, we do have the turn-in for Sky5. It keeps throwing me off because they switched teams. And they also have their 7 talents as well. So if they can get this turn-in, this is a little bit of an advantage. Now, it's not huge, but at the same time, a talent tier advantage is still better than just being on even level. So they're looking to aggress very heavily here. But unfortunately... Okay, so the Greymane will be walking away here. I thought Greymane was going to get collapsed upon, but that did not happen. We do have 7s on the side of NoobSlayin as well. The hook does go out from the Stitches onto this Cho'Gall, which he looks like he's ready to just get a fight. Trying to body block the Stitches in position. Stukov trying to silence them, maybe get them back off a little bit, and they're going to chase them back behind their gate. There was a Greymane, though, trying to go in for that flank, but he's just going to have to disengage. Doesn't want to lose those 25 gems that he's currently holding, because I wouldn't be too surprised to see NoobSlayin zone those away, make sure they don't get to pick them back up. This Ariel is having to use all of her heals, but she is just about full once again. They actually get the kill on the Stukov, but they get the counter kill onto Ariel. Now, the Greymane is falling extremely low. He does lose all of his gems. We do have the Rhaegar being able to back off, and the Stitches will die as well. Vala will get the majority of these gems. Looks like she's going to be holding all of their bank. Now, she is going in on this Cho'Gall, and there is no Ariel to keep them alive, and she will be falling, and they'll be falling, and so will the Rhaegar. And so they did drop a lot of their coins, but this is a really, really good position for Sky5 to be in. Now, actually, we are seeing the Kael'thas get the turn in here at the last second, so this is going to be extremely beneficial. Wow, that's a really, really good position for them to be in. They kind of stopped the momentum for Sky5 at this point. There was, they got all those kills. They had enough for turn-in. Vala picked up, I don't think they really lost many of their gems during that engagement. But, they did pick them back up, and they did get this counter kill, but since Kael'thas got that turn-in, it does kind of slow them down. They're not able to get them in. And they're going to have to play safe with this Vala to make sure that she doesn't lose any of those 48. It looks like the majority of their team is pushing in this top. Stitches is still in mid, so he will be rotating up into the team quite soon. 10s are on the horizon for both of these teams at this point. I'm wondering if they're... Okay, no. It looks like we do have that Cursed Bullet, as we did talk about in the draft. We do have the Gorge onto the... onto the Cho'Gall, and we do have this shove from the Stukov that's going to be the Cho'Gall falling, and actually Ariel's going to get entombed here, kind of, and the Rhaegar's going to get blocked in. Now, there is the Pyro Bomb onto the Vala. She will be dying, but does actually spreads to the Greymane. He, unfortunately, will be picking up all the gems. It's unfortunate for NoobSlayin. Granted, though, out of all this, they did get a fort. So if you want to look at the bright side of all this, they did get that fort. Stitches will be clearing out this bottom wave. Picking up most of these gems. The Web Weavers do have another turn in the next 4 seconds, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see them really go for that. Their waves are pretty well controlled at this point, so getting that turn in is going to be beneficial for them. Kael'thas could go for the poke, but they're just going to let them get that. It's a given at this point, it seems. Curse Bolt does go out right away. Do they have an Entomb to follow up? They do not. Oh, no, they actually did, but there was no Stitches, I believe, so they didn't really want to waste it at that moment. Hook does go back out once again. It won't connect onto anybody, and with this Web Weaver phase, this is pretty good. Now, they do get the Entomb onto the Kael'thas, who will be Aegis at this point as well. The Leoric is going to go in right to the team, try and get a little bit of damage, maybe some body blocking off there. It did not work out. Now, Grayman is falling extremely low here. The Shadow Bolt volley coming out from the Cho'Gall, trying to confirm that kill, but it will not happen. The massive shove comes out from the Stukov, zoning, I believe, the Rhaegar away from them. Leoric is falling quite low here, and Sky5 is in a bad position for their Web Weaver phase. Now, it is pushing quite good in top lane, and that's a benefit to them. They're probably going to be able to get that gate down, but I don't think they're going to be able to confirm the fort now that Kael'thas is here, chunking this down. Leoric does come in, but they don't have any. They don't have really a Cho'Gall or anything for some extra damage. At the same time, we do have the Rhaegar currently in bottom, just pushing this back as well. So they do save the majority of their gates. I think they lost the top and bottom. Mid seems to be saved at this point, and actually Cho'Gall will be completing his quest now. And I believe that was his level 7? No, it's level 4, excuse me. Take a quick peek at some of these damage numbers as well. Now, Vala is getting caught out in this bush for a quick second. The whip does not connect. They actually get a second turn in right away on the side of Sky5. So that first turn in, you got a couple of gates. This next one, I think we're going for a couple forts. I definitely do believe. They are trying to push up their waves, though, just in time for this to make sure that they can buy a little bit of time on the side of NoobSlayin. Rhaegar does go into this Leoric. The hook does go out onto the Kael'thas in the top. We do have the Curse Bullet coming out. I don't believe it really connected onto anyone there. That's actually going to be the Leoric falling first, and then the Kael'thas falling as well. 13s are going to be on the side of Sky5, and at this point, NoobSlayin has to retreat till they can get 13s themselves. They're going to try and just beat up a couple of these minions and these Web Weavers. Cho'Gall actually going really deep onto that Vala. Unfortunately, they will not be able to get the pick with that. Now, we do have this Greymane just getting bullied, and they are trying their best to just get onto these members, but unfortunately, they're playing so well from that ranged position, just getting the damage. They actually get the Rhaegar at the last second, and he'll be body blocked. The Aegis does come out. Cho'Gall does go in, trying to protect him. The massive shove does come out, and they're actually going to get the kill onto the Greymane. The Ancestral does connect at the last second. They keep the Cho'Gall alive. He's going in so deep onto these members. Now, Kael'thas is back and alive, so he's going to be able to throw out a ton of damage. There's the whirlwind from him. They're going to get the Stukov. They're going to be able to get the Leoric. Will they be able to confirm the Stitches? They do get him, and this is a lone Vala at this point. Will they be able to follow it up? They do get that kill, and that is going to be a wipe. Now, at this point, the Web Weavers are about to fall, and what they should just do is they should just rotate up into boss and take that, because they're going to lose this mid fort to the minion wave. And getting this boss quickly is better than, waiting for some of these members to get back up. The Kael'thas actually throwing out a bunch of abilities right there just to zone out that Leoric. They actually, and I've been... I don't even know what percent that is. It's 4 health. That is currently 4 health on that fort. So, yeah, they saved the fort with 4 health. That's just amazing to me. But with that wipe, they actually start to get the experience value on their side. And NoobSlayin starting to push up into these towers. Now, the late game experience off of tower destruction is way better, obviously, than the early game because of scaling and experience and, all those factors. So, this is actually going to push them closer and closer to 16. If they do get it, they should be able to maybe get another fight at this point and really start to change the momentum of this game. It seems to be on the side of Sky5 for the majority of it, but it looks like they're going to be starting to bring this back. Cho'Gall starting to work on that hard camp on the right-hand side as well. I wouldn't be too surprised to see someone go in and just try and take out this mid fort. It just needs a minion, one hit. There it is. But they do get the hard camp in the meantime. Now, Kael'thas is potentially getting caught out here. He does get the Entomb. This will be Kael'thas falling. The Aegis actually does come out, but there's a silence underneath him. He will be healed, but he won't be able to get out. Cho'Gall is onto this backline. Does get the kill onto the Vala. Now, Leoric is coming back, trying to get onto these members. The Curse Bullet does come out, but I don't think it connects because of the Gorge animation. Looks like, so he will be belched out. There is the bomb out, which will silence the Leoric. Do they get the dash in? That he will actually be falling from the damage from the dots. They do get the silence, and they're starting to aggress back onto these members. The massive shove does come out from the Stukov and will push him. They're going to go ahead and disengage, and they're going to go for their second turn-in on the side of NoobSlayin. And welcome, Genesis Esports, to the chat. Hi, thanks for coming by. Curse Bullet does come out. It is, I believe it landed on the Cho'Gall. It did not do as much as I thought it was going to. And also with that cocktail, that will be his level 7 talent quest being completed. Leoric dashing away here with his Ghost Walk. We do have the, I think the Kael'thas just came back alive at this point. So we do have the full members up. We do have a hook onto the Cho'Gall. The bomb does come out. The Entomb is there now. These members are falling quite low, but there is the Ancestral onto the Cho'Gall at the last second. They do get onto this Vala. She will be healed up right away, but she's starting to split away from her team, and that will be the kill onto Vala. Now, we do have these spiders pushing up in top and bottom. Top lane is going to be their biggest concern at this point because of the fact that there was pretty good push from that boss. There's actually a Gorge onto the Cho'Gall. They're going to have to burn down this sidewall before he gets out, and I don't think this is going to be a Cho'Gall who lives. So he's going to be dying at this point. They let the Web Weavers push up a little bit further, but they're going to be playing really, really safe on the side of NoobSlayin, especially because of the fact that they're down technically 2 members for these fights, and they really have no one to body their damage. Whereas on the other side, though, keep in mind, the Greymane did just pop, but they had no one to do damage. So it was a very interesting, that would have been a very interesting matchup. In this bottom lane, it is quite pushed in. I would assume they're going to be getting the gate, but not much more than that. And at this point, really, all NoobSlayin can do is push out their waves, push them up a little bit, wait for the Cho'Gall to be back up and play safe. But at the same time, Sky5, they have the advantage. They should definitely be trying to push into these waves. They're going to go ahead and get this hard camp, which will push up into mid a little bit. I definitely think they could have maybe roamed here and potentially got a gank. But they're going to wait and play the patient game. They've got 39 out of 60 gems. They only need, I think, like 5 or 6 minion waves to benefit from another turn-in. But at this point, it's pretty much just the race to 20. A lot of these teams really want those talents, and it's going to start to change the pace of this game. Cho'Gall is going to be diving in here. We do have the Curse Bullet going out onto him. There's the heal from the Ariel. They do get the bomb out. He is going to be backing away, so that's going to be the Curse Bullet down for another 20 seconds. Once they get healed up here, I wouldn't be too surprised to see them maybe go in for another engage. Granted, they don't have their Phoenix this time, so that's going to be something they need to be concerned about. Cho'Gall is going to be coming in here. They're going to be trying to poke this down, making sure that even though it isn't a full turn-in, they're going to try and at least make sure that they're going to either take down this gem count or at least get an experience advantage from this potential kill onto the Vala. The friendly hook was there, but it didn't pull her over the wall quick enough. But the Greymane actually going to be chased out here. The Entomb is going to zone them out so well, and they're going to disengage from here. Looks like Cho'Gall wants to aggress a little bit more, though. He does get the bomb out. He's actually going to get dragged, and once again, he's going to be puked out behind this gate, and they're going to have to try and burn this down as quick as possible. Now, granted, bottom is open. The Aegis is there. They get the sidewall already, and with that, actually, they're going to go ahead and just keep working on this this lane, and they actually get the kill onto the Greymane, so that's the Cursed Bolt they don't need to worry about anymore. Now, Leoric is going to disengage completely. They do have the Phoenix, which will zone some of the members away. They're going to burn down this gate. They have 22 out of 60, so they're not going to be anywhere near a turn-in, but if they can potentially get another pick here, they could go for a boss and push up into that top. As well as, actually, they're going to push this Leoric, who will be falling here, and that's going to be a sliver of experience needed to get to level 20. And we potentially could be having a core march. Looks like Cho'Gall is going into these members still. They do have their 20s. Looks like they went for the upgraded Twilight Hammer and the upgraded Volley. They do get the kill onto Vala, and they're going to go onto this core at this point because of that staggered death. And looks like this second game is going to be going over to NoobSlayin. I was gonna say that push from Stukov would have been really, really good for them, but unfortunately he had the unstoppable at the last second. The ancestral does come out here, and this looks like it is going to be GG. Well played. The second game going over to NoobSlayin.